Lady brings out the inside stories of the peaks and valleys of our daily struggles. A weekly show that features people and stories from all walks of life.
I probably don't look like I chopped cotton or picked cotton, but I did. And now this is a $500,000 probably home, up to $500,000 home.
You'll hear success stories from rags to riches that will inspire you to aspire to be great. Be the first to know, only on LSTV1.
Hello viewers, this is your girl Lady Ba, host of Talk to Lady Show, coming to you live on LSTV1. And today my guest is a very special one, a guest whose name is part of the history books of the Gambia. Today I present to you Honorable Ousainou Darboe. Welcome to Talk to Lady, Mr. Darboe.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be hosted by you.
We appreciate you coming onto the platform. Just for the benefit of our international viewers, since we have viewers from abroad, we would like to know a brief background of who is Ousainou Darboe, where is he originally from, school background, and just a brief summary of who you are.
Well, briefly, we're from Nyani, Dobo, and of course, grew up in Bansang, went to school in Bansang, primary school. And then attended St. Augustine's secondary school. Some people are saying St. Augustine's high school, but no, it's not high school. It is secondary school. And then at the time, the principal of my school was Reverend Father Clary, who passed away a few days ago in Ireland. And I wish him a peaceful repose in the hereafter. I mean, a very dedicated person who loved his students, and I am one person who benefited from his teaching experience and who benefited from his determination to make sure that all those who went through St. Augustine's when he was principal were successful in life afterwards. And of course, from St. Augustine's, I went to Gambia High School, where I did my sixth form. Did advanced level in the Gambia High School, then proceeded to the University of Lagos to read law. For the first time, a Gambian reading law outside of the United Kingdom. And I was called to the Nigerian bar, again for the first time, a Gambian being called to the bar of a place other than the Inns of Court in the United Kingdom. I did a master's at the University of Ottawa in Canada in public law, and then of course a lawyer, all throughout up to right now. And then '96 I got into politics, and that's the brief background about Ousainou Darboe.
Wow, you have a rich background. I'm sure if we have to go to stages or step by step, we will spend the whole day here talking about your biography. Thank you for sharing that information. Let me ask you, what inspired you to become a lawyer?
Well, I mean, this was something accidental. I had always been interested in reading philosophy and political science, of course, and also I was interested in history. I was an average student in history, if I may so. I loved history. And one of the persons who made me love history is the man I just mentioned, Reverend Father Clary. I mean, he was my history teacher also in St. Augustine. And Dr. Florence Mahoney, also who taught me at Gambia High School. I mean, they made me interested in history. So I thought I could read history and political science, or political science and philosophy at university. But then there was an incident in the Gambia. There was a visit by the Senegalese head of state to the Gambia. And prior to his visit, there were some remarks about the Gambia being a nation of smugglers, because the export trade, that people are smuggling goods from Gambia to Senegal. And when the Senegalese president then Senghor visited the Gambia, there was a protest by students, and some other members of the community. And one of our members of the teaching staff was arrested, and we went to the police station to demand for his release. And of course, the police tried to disperse us. And when I was leaving, I just entered the courthouse, and I went upstairs. I saw the lawyers in action, and I said to myself, "Look, I think I better also become a lawyer." And as luck would have it, in September or thereabout, the scholarships were advertised for Gambians to African universities, and I applied for it. And one of the courses that the sponsors were prepared to sponsor was lawyers, to train lawyers for the Gambia. So that's how I got into law, and I've since then been enjoying it. Although I still read a lot of philosophy, a lot of books on philosophy and political science, because law is not very far from philosophy. It's very far from political science.
How was the legal profession in the Gambia when you were called to the bar? I believe in 1973.
Yes, there were very few lawyers. In fact, you could count them on your hand. It won't be more than 10. But very, very seasoned lawyers, very great lawyers. In the person of S01, in the person of ASB Saho, in the person of Alaji Drame, Sam George, Uncle Mahoney, Jacob Mahoney, Bola Mahoney. Of course, in the Attorney General's office, you had O'Brien Coker, you had the Attorney General, Mr. Saho, and Mr. Grant. I remember if I recollect, these were the only Gambian lawyers, not more than 10, But then the profession was again very vibrant, and the very good lawyers, and those students of law, or lawyers, or even younger practitioners, when they read the judgments, in those days, and they would see the quality in advocacy, they would see quality in the courtroom work that these very good lawyers, these eminent lawyers, they are doing. I learned a lot from them. And in fact, another person is Solomon Jai. He subsequently became a high court judge, and he was one person that I really learned a lot from. I would always call him and say, "Uncle Saul, can I pick your brain?" And he would give me a lead.
Wow. That's awesome. What prompted the move to a private practice and the formation of Bar Samsung Chambers in 1980, I believe?
Well, really, when I returned from Canada, where I had done my master's, I went back to office, and of course, there was talk of the setting of the legal drafting section. It had not been done, and of course, I was also looking at the hierarchy that certainly the Registrar General was next to the Solicitor General in terms of hierarchy, and there were obstacles in my way to become Registrar General. There were definitely obstacles on my way, and again, there was a case of a gentleman, M.I. Jallo, who was charged for murder. In those days, you had what they call the PI, preliminary inquiry, and which the magistrate would conduct to determine whether you should be tried on a substantive case or not, you should be tried on information or not. If the evidence is not enough, he would direct that no information be filed against you, and then he also had the authority to grant bail. And there was this old magistrate He was not a lawyer, but a man of great experience and a man of great integrity. Fasau, E.C. Sao, his son was permanent secretary at one time. He granted this gentleman bail, and the Minister of Justice was not happy about it, and asked that we file an application in court, in the High Court, to rescind the bail. In the first place, I thought that there was no justification for it, and the other issue was that, in my view, was that you should appeal against it and not to file an application for the setting aside of the bail granted by Magistrate Sao. Of course, the application was prepared by another lawyer, and then affidavit settled by him, and motion also, and then I was asked to really go and pursue the matter in court, and I refused. I said, look, I do not believe in the fact that I do not believe that what the magistrate did was wrong, and two, I do not believe that you should go by way of motion. I think you should appeal against the order of the magistrate granting bail, and I also do not believe in the case. So I will not really go to court. I said the lawyer who prepared the processes should really go to court and speak to his motion. But I will not do it, and of course it didn't meet the approval of my superiors. They were not happy about it, and but then I didn't go, and then I think that really also worked against me in not becoming the registrar. And I decided that, look, I cannot really stay on, here under these circumstances, and I resigned. But after my resignation, I really sought audience with Sir Dauda. He granted me audience. He listened to me, and for him, it was a matter of regret that I resigned. Before talking to him, maybe I should have sought audience with him, and he would listen to my story. And if maybe he could do anything, maybe he could have done it. But then, I saw this circle, I saw after the horses had left the stable. So yes, as the Mandingas will say, so that's why I left, and then I went and set up Basans and Chambers. Alhamdulillah. I think in doing so, I did a great deal of service to my conscience, to myself, and I was getting professional satisfaction in what I was doing. I may not have money, but I certainly had a great deal of professional satisfaction in setting up of Basans and Chambers. Because I had the opportunity to lock horns with the greatest lawyers of this country. And marching against Rahata Jane, that is something really great, and it's a great joy, really to see myself against Rahata Jane. It's a great joy to see myself pitched against Batan Macaulay, see myself at J.K. Dako. It's really great professional joy, and with all other lawyers. Bensouda, Hawasise Sabali, and Mangay. So I really getting job satisfaction. Yeah.
And I believe Mujamaka for Basansang Yatola Bansanella, where does the name come from?
Well, actually, Yamenfonya no one can go Bansang, Afala no Basan Sankatu, one will see in Jeto. Cordala Sansang in Barbara Jeto, So Moto Tanko Basansang. Of course, Yalon, Bamu Fenet in Ibuetacono, Fangal Bijata Dovara Scamanto Roti, so Uncle Case Mari Sansang. But Mari Sansa Nanga Fenkawala. But actually, it's a corrupted form of. I think Bansan is a corrupted name for Basansan. Yes.
Got you. Okay. And it looks like a year into your practice, private practice in 1981, I believe, the coup happened. What was your involvement in helping defend the accused individuals like Pap Yasin Seka and Sharif Mustafa Diba at the time?
Well, Pap was my great friend. We in fact came to the profession in Banjul at the same time. We all came there in 1973, and we were the young ones at the bar then. He was in private practice, I was in government. And again, when I mentioned that, it was great, really, being pitched against great people like Suratajani. Pap Yasin also, one of the most formidable defense lawyers, and I was prosecutor, and then Banjul Magistrate Court used to be the theater. It used to be the theater of legal battle, and you had Antman Gain magistrate, So developed a very good personal relationship with Yasin, and but when we are in court, we set aside, we put aside that personal relationship, And of course, in 1981, when he got involved in this, in this trouble, when he was involved, in this unfortunate incident, myself and Usman Silla, another great lawyer, we were defending, because there were several accused persons, and some of the accused persons were represented by one lawyer. Others were represented by two lawyers. I remember Sheriff Diba was represented by myself and Antman Gay. I think Surahata represented some other individuals. He was alone, and ASB Saho represented this old man from Bakao, this old man, I think is Mr. Jame from Bakao. Yeah, and Che Yasin was represented by myself and Usman Silla. Yeah. Now, we did the cases up to the end of the prosecution's case. Now, when it came to the defense, we devised a strategy for Diba, that what we should do really to show to the magistrate that this is not a person who could be involved in a coup d'etat. He's not, and we outlaid that. And when it came to Mr. Seka, he wanted us to do the same, maybe to think of doing the same thing as we did for Diba. But we thought that no, your situations are not the same. What Diba went through, from pre-independence Gambia up to the Gambia becoming a republic, he becoming the first vice president, and all those things. Your histories are different. So we cannot really put your defense on probably not necessarily the same footing, but to do the same approach to the defense as that of Diba, but he felt that we should do the same. And of course, he was a colleague, but we were unable to accept that instructions from him, and because of that, we had to withdraw. From the case and allow him to continue his own defense. Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
How would you compare the legal practitioner field today compared to when you started?
Well, I think that's it. Sorry, how do?
Like, how would
Hello?
you compare the legal practitioner field today compared to when you started?
Well, I guess certainly the legal profession, certainly you have too many lawyers these days, and although quite competent, there are also quite competent people. they're quite, quite competent people, and I think again, there's much difference now, because advocacy, as we know, it is no longer, it's no longer happening. In those days, you will stand on your feet 2-3 hours addressing the court. Now everything, you write it down and send it to the court. Which for the, if I may, for the traditionalist, the traditionalist, is a little bit is a little bit unacceptable. I think we should really do advocacy. We should really stand on our feet, address the court. The Supreme Court, of course, allows that. That happens to the Supreme Court. You just don't go and dump your documents on them and leave it to them to write their judgment. You also address them, and they can pick up issues with you on your case, on the case that you presented to them in writing. Yeah.
Makes sense. You were also a lawyer during the First Republic, of course. Were you involved in politics at that time?
No, in the First Republic, I was not involved in politics, though I handled quite a few cases that had political undertones, but I was never involved in politics.
Oh, okay. Can you recall what were you doing when the news broke that the military coup took over in 1994?
Actually, I was in my office. I think I was in my office, and I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that you can have a military takeover in the Gambia. And I think it was a Friday, until when I was returning home, I saw soldiers, at Denton Bridge, and then when I went, I just went into the house and never came out again. Until for Saturday, there was a great deal of uncertainty, and I think it was not until the following day, Saturday, when it was announced that the Sadauda's government had been overthrown, and that the military has taken over. Yeah.
What was your assessment at the time? Because I believe, we all have people that are against and those were welcoming the idea of the military coup taking over at the time. What was your own assessment as an individual at the time?
Well, certainly I've never agreed that that was the proper method of changing the government of the Gambia. Yeah, there are people who say that Sadauda had overstayed, and there's some truth in that statement. Maybe he ought to have exited since 1992 when he made that announcement in Mansakonko. But then his failure to exit, my view, is not a reason why he should have the military come in and substitute themselves for the government of the Gambia led by Sadauda. And of course, I had also lived, in Nigeria as a student under military rule then, and I see the way soldiers or military governments, however benevolent they may be, I see how they really handled situations. I've seen how really they can just go into the executive office and then just like bread, bake out law, bring it to address certain situations, and sometimes fundamental human rights are compromised. So really, I've never supported the takeover. I thought that what should be done was really to carry out an effective, vigorous campaign for Sadauda to lose elections on policy issues rather than on what turned out to be bogus allegations of flamboyant lifestyle and rampant corruption.
Did the junta at any point seek your professional help or guidance from, from you during the transition?
Well, I got a call from my family in a pipeline that some soldiers had gone to my house and were looking for me. And of course, I knew that the only reason that they will be looking for me is really to see what help can be given to them.
Right.
So because, wherever there is a coup d'etat, the first people that the military, the soldiers will contact will be a lawyer to do their decrees for them. The first decree, which would be the bedrock of the administration. Yeah, I think that their first port of call would be to the lawyer, and I'm a trained draftsman. Yeah, so it would have been easy for me to do so, and I had also lived in Nigeria on the military regime. We see what type of decrees and so forth, And then when I was told that, I then left my house in Kanifing because they could go to that house too, and find me there. So I moved in with one of my my sisters, Nyanganjai. I went to her house and stayed there the whole day until very late at night, and I went back to my house. So I don't know whether I played hide and seek with them, but I made sure that I was not traced for me to be part of their destruction of the country.
Makes sense. Why did you consider it necessary to run for presidency under the UDP ticket in 1996, I believe? And correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, it was a call to duty, and I cannot abandon, that. I cannot give my back to that call to duty. Confidence, enormous confidence has been reposed on me, and I cannot betray that confidence. I was prepared to really run for the office, not because I was hungry for office, but because it was absolutely necessary for me to do so. And again, I have not regretted a bit for really, responding to that call of duty and accepting to run as presidential candidate for the United Democratic Party.
Coming back to the elections in 1996, in your own opinion, do you think the election was, free and fair at the time?
That election was really the most flawed elections in the whole of Africa. It was internationally agreed that election was rigged. Yeah, and we know that election was rigged. For about 3 hours, there was complete silence from the IEC. We are releasing the results. We were ahead of Jammeh in all the constituencies where the results were announced, except first in Janjambure. He was ahead of us in that, but then we overtook him. And then there was a big silence. Lord, nobody, nobody knew, what was going on. We believe that in fact the results were certainly doctored. Results for UDP, given to Jammeh, and results, votes for Jammeh given to UDP. There's absolutely no doubt that election was rigged. And the whole world agrees to that.
And again, you were arrested in 2001 alongside 20 UDP members. Can you tell us why and what was the outcome of the case at the time?
In fact, 2001, I was arrested with along, I think, quite a few number, and then we were arrested on the allegation of having committed murder. At the end, 5 of us faced the trial to the end, and we were all acquitted on a no-case submission by our lawyers, Mr. Antman Gay, who led a very strong team of lawyers, in our defense, made a no-case submission, and the judge, presiding judge, did not see any reason why we should really give an explanation of our participation, if any, in that in that very sad event, because as is alleged, a young man from Basse Kabakama lost his life. That's a very sad event. Yeah.
And in preparation for the elections in 2016, presidential elections, of course, NAT was formed, but then the UDP and NRP withdrew from it. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, it was 2006. Well,
2006. Thank you.
Well, UDP saw that contrary to what was arranged and agreed, UDP saw that there was a massive, monumental conspiracy against it. So when instead of parties nominating individuals, we are nominating, and we found that that was quite contrary to the agreement, and we knew that there was utter conspiracy against us, against the UDP, and we didn't think that there was any need for us to continue in that alliance, because when there was certainly what I would call an impasse, because initially Mr. Jallo OJ was nominated by someone from DAM, and seconded by another person who was NRP, and someone from DAM automatically said, well, OJ has the nomination, and I thought that, look, she cannot have the nomination because according to the articles, it has to be consensus. And we UDP, we do not agree to him being the candidate, So we really made sure that, we frustrated that arrangement, and before break off, of course, they also nominated Mr. Salah, they also nominated Mr. Salah, so that there will be a contest between Salah and Mr. Jallo for the candidature, But on a subsequent meeting, they before the end of that day, they withdrew his candidature, But at a subsequent meeting, Mr. Salah's nomination was reinstated, and I thought that, look, maybe Mr. Darboe is the obstacle to all these aspiring candidates, OJ, Salah. So I think the best thing would be for me to really withdraw, from that, so that they can have a field day and do whatever they want to do among themselves. I withdrew, but then before announcing my resignation, the chairman, Hassan Musa Kamara, prevailed on me for certain, tactical reasons for me really not to announce my resignation. I had to postpone it because of the decision of the Supreme Court in the case of Khalifa Salah and others, first of the clerk of the National Assembly. There were by-elections to be held, and I felt that maybe if I withdraw from the if we resign and then withdraw from NAD, then it was going to really put APRC at an advantage against the other candidates, who we are running, So because of that, we stayed on until after the by-elections, when I said, look, we call it quit. I know a lot of stories have been told, but then this is the truth. Particularly on the registration, I know a lot of stories have been told, and all those people who are truthful, and I wish Hassan Musa Kamara was alive, would attest to the fact that I had always said that you cannot register NAD. Don't register it. If you do, we are going to get into trouble, But then my advice was never heeded. I know Ahmad Bais here, if he's being honest, he will tell you that was the position I held. OJ, if he's been honest, he'll tell you that's the position I have always held. Wajwara, all of them. Musa Drame, all of them. The Nyambiture, all those people who were attending the meetings of NAD, they'll tell you that this was the position of Mr. Darboe, but they thought that Mr. Darboe really wanted to use, UDP's dominance and then not accept this, so that when it comes to, selection and so forth, it would be UDP. But I was really trying to secure the seats of all the members of the coalition, all the party members who were, negotiating for that alliance to fight the 2016 elections. But there was we saw conspiracy among the other parties. And what I did, really, what I find a little bit not intriguing, but then something that I would have thought that OJ would always bear in mind is that DOI will never support a presidential candidate from PPP. That that should be clear to anybody. That should be clear to anybody. And I believe that because OJ is from PPP, that is why when his nomination was put on the table, I believe that is why DOI also nominated Mr. Salah. Maybe if Mr. Ahmad Bah had been nominated, DOI wouldn't have come in to put another candidate. But up to today, we see what DOI says. Now and again, what DOI says about the PPP administration, and for them, bringing OJ in was really restoring PPP in power. Yeah, that's my opinion. Whether I'm not saying that's factual, but that's my opinion. And I also thought that really maybe 15-year ban on OJ not to hold any public office, that should have been an indication for him to say that, I'm sorry, I cannot be nominated. This is what the APRC have done to me. Very bad decision, unjustified decision, but this is their decision so far. And if he was the only candidate, then APRC would just come and say, look, gentlemen, you are banned. You cannot. These are things that they never thought of. But I really had all those things at the back of my mind, and I said, look, maybe I'm an obstacle. We will leave, and we left for them to really go ahead and choose a candidate that is acceptable to all of them. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. We started seeing the UDP at the time. We started seeing the UDP approaching the Jamil administration in a more defined way in SL and Fast Njagachoy, I believe. What led to the shift in approach?
Yeah, yes, but we had always been defiant to Jamil. The only thing that was done is that we have never adopted a violent approach. Our defiance have never been violent. We have always done things within the confines of the law. We know that that really for a meeting, you can have a meeting, without a public address system. That is why the Public Order Act prohibits use of a public address system. We say we will not use a public address system. But then we can just be there, those who had deep voices could be heard without anybody really repeating what they are saying. Those who have, soft voices, shallow voices, whatever they could have it repeated by some other person. We felt that that could be done, and of course, they realized that what we are doing was within the law. They barricaded the roads, so we will not use force, really, to unblock the roads. To unbarricade the roads, we will not use force to do that. So we were there. We are there, at the, with this standoff, as some of our youths, would say, ibela kotel telephone quarter to, so that was it. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It was a question of Sansandim Bolomba. Nimema Ikanama. Yes.
That's right. What were some of the major achievements scored by the UDP during the Second Republic?
Well, as a party, it will be difficult to say this what UDP did. Yeah, it will be difficult because I don't think as a political party we were doing anything different from any other member of the coalition government, but then but certainly yeah, the Second Republic, that is Jammeh's time. Yeah, Jammeh's time. That's the Second Republic. Yeah, Jammeh's time. That's the Second Republic. Yes. Well, so let me say that we I think we did a lot. In the first place, the myth that soldier role money, soldier role bukakele, money soldier bukanywa sa wafena, we really debunked that, and so that look, no, we can do it. We were exposing the corruption of the government, the Swiss saga, the oil money that not oil, the Taiwanese funds, that people stole and stocked them away in Switzerland. We were the one who spoke about it, first spoke about it. The Korosise murder. We were the first one who spoke about it. We were the ones daily exposing the corruption of Jammeh and his cohorts. And that made other people emboldened. So I think we did that, and also we also challenged their activity. Some of their acts in the courts. Like removal of judges. We went to court and challenged it. And challenged it. This we did. Not for benefit but for the country, because these are not things that would be just for the benefit of the UDP, but it's for the benefit of the country. And we can see that our allegations, not allegations, but then our accusations against Jammeh and his cohorts on the way that the Taiwanese funds were handled, was a subject of inquiry before the Jammeh Commission. The Korosise issue as a subject of inquiry at the TRRC, and now the subject of the trial of one of the persons allegedly involved in the murder. So we have never been wanting in doing for this country what we should, as a political party, what we should do in the Second Republic, and that was the raison d'etre of our existence. We cannot just be there as a party on paper, just keep quiet and leave the regime to do what it thinks without being unchecked. Maybe you might remember. For the first time, a walkout from the National Assembly. When because we wanted this Taiwanese funds, the funds that we are taking to Switzerland, we wanted to investigate. We, in fact, presented a motion to the National Assembly for the National Assembly for a committee to be set up by National Assembly. How these funds were, handled. And of course, the motion was defeated. It didn't see the light of the day. But then, when the president was supposed to address the National Assembly on that occasion, all our MPs waited until he went in, took his seat, and when he was just about to start addressing the National Assembly, he got up just as addressing the National Assembly. All our members of the National Assembly walked out. Yeah, he did that to show to him that the Gambian people do not accept the way you are doing things. Yeah. It was not out of dishonor, but it was a legitimate way of really protesting to the head of state. Yeah, and several other things really. Yeah.
And of course, again, I mean, many accuse you of not being too tough, but we saw you led an executive march in protest of the murder of Solo Sanden at the time. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, you see, I know that there are a lot of people who said that UDP proves that it has numbers, because the people that, but then the leadership, is consisted of cowards, people who are not prepared to sacrifice anything, people who just want to stay in their comfort zones, safe and comfort zones. And people are urging us, go out. People who could call me and say, well, why don't you people go into the street and protest? And all the time, all those people who call me to say so are people who live abroad, who are not in the Gambia here. And I said to my butt, why would you be, in Stockholm and asking me to go out? You are not going out. Why would you be in Paris or in Denver and ask me to go out? You're sitting there in your comfort zone. I mean, some of these people I don't even know them. But because nothing has happened which justifies my going out. But when something happened which justified that I should go out, I went out. So I think in essence that's what Gambian people should understand. It was not because we are afraid of anything, but because there was no reason for us to go out. And when there was a reason for us to go out, as young as he is, could really die and leave his children as orphans, why would us, Lamin Liba, Kemi Senjame, Modusane, myself, Femi Peter, we have all grown up. All our children are grown up. So in fact, we all have grandchildren. Why should we fear death? So we decided that we should go out because we accept one thing, that any government, the government of the Gambia in particular, has the authority to arrest anybody who is suspected to have committed an offense and subject him to due process of law.
Right.
But no government of the Gambia, no government in the world, and the government of the Gambia in particular, has no right to arrest the citizen of this country, torture him to death, and then leave things as if nothing has happened. That I cannot accept. So we decided to go out. Yeah? And of course, you had mentioned Fast Njagachoy. That was in April 2015.
Right.
And from Fast Njagachoy, UDP's approach was that fear no more. There should be no more fear. Nobody should be afraid. So fear no more. So we have that as our slogan. This incident happened, and we really had to show that we feared nothing when we are on a just cause. We would only fear when what we are doing is not just, is not something that could meet the approbation of the majority of decent thinking people.
Despite all the challenges, all the forces against you and your party at the time, what was your first reaction when you had the coalition won the elections while you were in prison?
Well, my reaction was really, to be thankful to God, and of course, started recollecting the people who have been in the struggle with us. Uh, uh, Started recalling people like Sidi Asanya, Sajo Kunjansane, of course, Solo Sandeng, Solo Kuruma, Solo Kuruma died in prison, you know, and several others, who had gone into exile because of the terrible situation in the country, and many others who had also died, some of whom we did not even know, but we knew they all died for the Gambia. So my heart went to them, and I just wish that they were all here. But uh, I believed then that notwithstanding their absence, the ration data of their struggle will not be in vain. That they have left behind a rich legacy, and that rich legacy will try and really maintain.
May their souls rest in peace. You were appointed as the foreign minister. What were some of the changes you made to advance the Gambia's interest internationally?
Well, uh, when I was appointed, let me just underscore this thing, that I am not taking any personal, let me say, anything personal, in anything. That whatever was done as a team.
Gotcha.
I was done as a team. So it's not anything that is personal to Ousainou Darboe. It's not that I did as Minister of Foreign Affairs with the support of the President and, of course, other cabinet colleagues. So I wouldn't want to say that this what I did, but I would say that I was part of a government that did X, Y, and Z for the benefit of the people of the Gambia. Yeah, and one of them, of course, is the uh, uh, is the rescission of the decision to withdraw from the ICC, and of course also the decision to return to the Commonwealth. Uh, in fact, on one of my visits to Brussels, I had to I had to really drop out of the delegation to make a special visit to the United Kingdom to see the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Secretariat and make proposals to her that our application is pending. We would want that we fast track the application, that we shouldn't wait until they have the CHOGM, and that the matter be brought to the plenary. And I suggested to the Secretary General that I would want to write to all the foreign ministries of the Commonwealth to ask them to support our application so that they could endorse it, so that we could have the opportunity to attend the CHOGM in 2018. And the Secretary General agreed to that approach. And because of that, I wrote to all the foreign ministers and sought the cooperation of their governments and others that I met at other meetings, like at ECOWAS. I spoke to foreign ministers of Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Nigeria and Ghana, so that they could give us support before even the CHOGM, and also at the AU, other foreign ministers from Kenya, Uganda, and so forth. Yeah, and they were all upbeat about it, and they supported our cause. So that is why our application to rejoin did not wait until the CHOGM meeting, in April of 2018. We were admitted, I believe, in February of 2018, and that also gave us the opportunity to attend, if we wanted to, the Commonwealth Games that was being held in March, I believe, in Australia also. So this, I think, but let me say that these are not my. I don't want to claim personal credit for it. I'm saying that we did all these things as part of the government, although I was in the driving seat with the full support of the president. So I know that some people would probably want to take credit, but these sort of things I don't think it's right for anybody to take personal credit for it. You should take credit, or the team should take credit for it, and you also say that you are happy that you are part of that team.
It was teamwork. Got it.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how the NDP came into being and the forces behind the NDP?
Well, the NDP really was crafted by, at the UNDP, they certainly play a leading role in the crafting of the NDP. And of course, the Minister of Finance, in the government, that sector, that branch of the government, Minister of Finance, was also very pivotal, in the preparation of the NDP. All other ministries, because all sectors contributed to it. And of course, the NDP was really supposed to uplift the Gambia from the stagnation, economic stagnation, the social retrogression in which it was. And certainly you need a great deal of funds to be able to do that. And the Minister of Finance, certainly is the leader, would be the leader in that. So they really, the Finance Ministry, really did quite good work together with other ministries as well as the UNDP. And of course, to the marketing of it also, the Minister of Finance and my ministry did a lot, to market the NDP. And I believe that these two ministries really did their best to market the NDP. And it's as a result of their marketing strategy that we did have that very successful roundtable conference in Brussels in May of 2018.
In your own opinion, is the NDP, still instrumental as a guideline blueprint to our, nation's development plans?
Well, certainly. It is the one that is being used, and obviously, you just have maybe 16 months for it to run out, because it's 2021, so 2021. So you just have 4 months of 2020 and 12 months of 2021. So you have about 16 months, so. So I think it will. I think it continues and should continue really to be the blueprint of what is left of it for the development of this country. How much successful that would be is another thing. But then because I don't think you can really come out with another developmental blueprint outside of the National Development Plan.
Gotcha. In 2018, you were appointed as the Vice President of the Gambia. Did you feel you could have been more productive as a foreign minister, or a vice president?
For me, I did not choose. I think it's left for the president to choose wherever he thinks a particular person can be of use and service to his country. He felt that, I could be of better service to the nation as Vice President, then as Minister for Foreign Affairs. But then let me say this, I certainly enjoyed the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I certainly enjoyed it. Because it was when I was Foreign Minister that we went on a very we went on a let me not say aggressive, but we went on some fund mobilization for the OIC. Myself and Lamin Sane, the chief executive, and of course the current minister for Works and Infrastructure, Mr. Bailamin Job. We went out to really mobilize the funds, and let me say that again, I'm happy to be part of the team that has really gone onto that mobilization, and now what is now being done for the staging of this mega summit that I participated in no small way in mobilizing funds for its realization.
Got you. Is it true that your tenure as a vice president was ruined with allegations of disagreement with the President Barrow, to be specific?
Well, maybe there was disagreement on the issue of party politics. Maybe there was disagreement on the issue of party politics, but then, as vice president, all the measures that I took to cabinet was fully supported by the president and the entire cabinet. This Women Enterprise Fund that some people are talking about, I took it, and I'm happy to say that there was because in January 2019, if Gambia did not provide its counterpart funding, then the European Union funding would have been really been postponed to 2020, and I worked hard on it, and I'm thankful to Minister Mambure Njai for really agreeing to my proposal that they should really make available this money, 5 million of Ghana counterpart funds. And I think I remember we were having a meeting with the World Bank officials from Dakar, and he told them, look, oh yes, this project will go on. The vice president has given instructions that we provide the 5 million, and we'll do so. Yeah. So there was no disagreement to that. The civil service reform that we also presented. There was no objection to it. So and other issues. So really, there was no. I had never agreed with the president on what should really happen. Example, not that was the case. Example with the Gambia Ports Authority. We have never disagreed on that. Yeah. Although we never discussed anything about Gambia Ports Authority, but I'm just giving an example.
Right.
But our fundamental disagreement was that UDP is UDP, and certainly I will not allow anybody, to really hijack UDP. You have to become leader of UDP in accordance with the constitution of the United Democratic Party, but not otherwise. And of course, I made sure that I separated my official function from my function as leader of the Democratic Party, of United Democratic Party, and I was jealously guarded the United Democratic Party, because what catapulted me to be foreign minister and then as vice president is because of the eminent political position of the United Democratic Party. I don't think otherwise I would have had those positions. So that party, I was jealously guarding it, and of course, the president and his other people didn't think that I should do that. And if you probably recall, in December in December of in December of 20, I think 2018, yeah, in December when we had our Congress, you know, I did say that, we are not supporting any other youth movement. And I was making reference to the Barrow youth movement, that we had a UDP youth movement. That's the only youth movement that we recognize, and no other youth movement. And that the UDP, yeah, certainly is a party whose leadership is open to anybody, but then it has to be through the orthodox normal way, not through the back door. I think we had that disagreement. Yeah, I think we had that disagreement. So, and I don't know whether it is that disagreement that led to my removal as vice president or not. I don't know whether it is, but we certainly had that disagreement.
Borrowing your own words, jealously guiding UDP and protecting the UDP as a party and its people. How did you feel when you were relieved alongside with other prominent UDP members from cabinet?
Well, we are very happy. Personally, I was really very happy, and I know Honorable Lamid Diba, as well as Honorable Ahmad Sane. I know they were happy because if I may use the word, I think we were. The shackles that were on us were removed. When I was in government, I had to really restrict, or reduce my political activities, and my party political activities, and one thing that was clear to me was that inside of my official duties, nothing that resembles politics, party politics, was tolerated by me. I refused it. I refused to see party militants in my office. That's not the place they should come to for party matters. They should go to the party bureau. Anything that had the semblance of partisan politics, I eschewed it. I refused to do so. But then it was also really having some negative effects on me, on the party. Let me say on the party, because I know people who are saying that UDP and the Barrow Youth Movement are the same. We all support the president and so forth. When we left office, we had to tell people in no uncertain terms that look, these are two different political outfits. And I was freer. I could go to Fuladu or stay there for 3-4 days. Of course, as vice president, I cannot do that.
Right.
I cannot do that. The most I can do is go there on a Saturday and make sure that Sunday I'm back to Bix. Yeah. So we got free. I said that they would say one of say, Picha Mombapam Pulanangata. So really, we were really happy. And then our party membership, they were energized. I got engaged. Lamindiba got engaged. Amadou Sane got engaged. And you can see, since then, we are getting people into the party. People of high quality, not only in terms of intellect, in terms of intellectual, aptitude, but people of substance, people, who have, strong, political muscles. We are having them coming to join UDP. Yeah.
And talking about engage, I do see that after you left office, you engage the UDP diaspora wing more frequently. How important is the diaspora?
The truth is that everyone agrees here that the diaspora is, I think, the 8th region. Diaspora is the 8th region. So you cannot really marginalize the diaspora. You cannot really reduce the diaspora to an entity, either by your words or by your action. We have to appreciate that the diaspora has very significant role to play in the political life of this country. After all, they played very important role in the political life of this country pre-December 3rd, 2016. The amount of money that came out of the diaspora to support the cause of the opposition, the amount of the number of forums, the number of forums that were open, the number of forums that were open, by people in diaspora, and they got engaged with their families, they got engaged with their friends, that they should vote out Jammeh. And it is through their influence that that a lot of other people really who would not have voted for the position really did so. So you cannot ignore them. And I was delighted that when I left office, I had the opportunity to travel to the United States. In fact, that invitation was on when I was in office, and we were making arrangements for my deputy, Ajiyam Seka, to go to Seattle, and when the date, and at least a few days before the Seattle event, I was relieved of my position, and Ajiyam Seka said, no, the invitation was to you, so you must go. And Alhamdulillah, the Seattle people did what nobody expected would have happened.
Jibilani woyo benta.
Jibilani woyo benta. Yalo wo ike minne for kono efa.
Without the diaspora, is the UDP able to maintain a sound financial footing, in your own view?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, they have been, major funders of our activities up to yesterday. Up to yesterday, the diaspora is funding one aspect of an activity and another aspect, various aspects of UDP's activities in this country. Yes.
In regards to elections, we all know elections is almost here. What efforts are you putting in place to see that the diaspora vote in the coming elections?
Well, I believe the IEC itself has produced a calendar for registration, a calendar the electoral calendar, and I think there's a date, I believe July 2021 for registration of the diaspora Gambians, so that they could participate in the presidential elections. So I mean, this has been an issue that all the parties in the Gambia, other than before the current regime, all the parties other than the APRC have really been advocating for that the diaspora they should be given the franchise. You cannot have a segment of the Gambian community, however distant it may be, who contribute not less than 25%, not less than 23% GDP. You cannot really disenfranchise them. They should be given the franchise so that they have a choice in who really is the chief executive of the country, who they want to entrust with the responsibility to manage the economy of this country. I think it is absolutely essential, and we hope that nobody will tell us that there is no fund to carry out the registration or to conduct the election. Now that we have seen the calendar quite clearly indicating that the diaspora will be registered, we should expect that after being registered, they will also vote. And we also hope that I mean, it's not, if you say diaspora, they are just not going to limit it to the countries that are that border with Gambia, that have borders with the Gambia, or countries close to the Gambia, like Guinea, Mauritania, Senegal. You know, that when you say diaspora, there will be no distinction so long as you are outside of the Gambia, residents outside of the Gambia, you should be entitled to vote.
How will UDP government interact and promote the diaspora then?
See, again, one thing that I did as a Minister for Foreign Affairs is to create a diaspora unit within the Minister of Foreign Affairs, so that the issues affecting the Gambian diaspora, you know, will be treated, will be handled by this particular unit. So you don't leave it, you know, at a general governmental, let me say, to receive the general attention of government, but it's going to be the specific attention of this particular unit within the Minister of Foreign Affairs. That is that was what I envisaged, and I believe that that policy issue continues to be respected by the government. But then I'm saying this to point out how much concerned we are about the diaspora. Yeah. It will be too much to say that maybe you'll have a minister in charge of the diaspora affairs. If our economy allow for such, I think it is very important, because that's a huge segment of the Gambian community that lives abroad. But the diaspora certainly, I mean, in terms of investment opportunities that will be given to them, I mean, in terms of acquisition of properties, you know, because I realize that a lot of people living in the diaspora are sometimes given raw deal in the land acquisition matters. You know, they send their money, land is bought for them, and maybe 2 or 3 years later, they find that they are in litigation. This we want to make sure that they do not suffer from, and that they would be given equal opportunities, just as those who are resident in the Gambia here. I mean, our call is not going to be on the diaspora to come back and invest in the Gambia, and then we turn around and get them frustrated. That is not what UDP government will do. The UDP government will ensure that those Gambians, you know, irrespective of your place of origin, irrespective of your political persuasion, irrespective of your religious affiliation, you come to invest in this country, the government, UDP government, will make sure that your investment is protected and that you will reap the full benefits of your investment.
Wow, amazing. Going back to the Gambia, what's your take on the recent tussle between the UDP and the Brikama Area Council chairmanship?
Well, you see, there is no tussle between UDP and the Brikama Area Council chairman. Let me say, for me, I do not want to comment. Okay. Since the matter is in court. But one thing that is clear to me is that we are instructing our lawyers to ask that the case file be taken from the judge to whom the case is assigned and be given to another judge. We have appealed a matter of this nature. The application is treated ex parte, and it's left to you, the judge, to accept, to grant the leave sought, or not to accept to grant the leave sought. Yeah. But then to make it inter partes, we don't agree with it, is not in accordance with practice. But why we are asking for the case to be taken from her is that she has made remarks that has completely disabled her from making any impartial and unemotional decision on the issue. She has said that UDP should be a more democratic party. Who says that our party is not democratic? Is it for her to determine whether our party is democratic or not? She says that our rules are restrictive. If our rules are restrictive, a person accepts to become a member of UDP. That person accepts those rules, whether restrictive or not. It is not for her to say these things. She has even made mention of the National Assembly passing a legislation, amending or repealing the law under which we came. So she has her views clouded by even what has been taken before in the National Assembly. Yeah? She has said that she has warned us that UDP, we should know that the electorates are there. Of course, we know the electorates are there, and we constantly go to the electorates and ask them what we want. It's not for her to tell us that. She has completely, disabled herself from impartially dealing with this matter. And that is why we are going to ask her to recuse herself from the case, return the file to the Chief Justice so that the Chief Justice can assign this case to another judge. We are going to ask her politely to do so. But if she refuses, then we'll put in a necessary application. And then to see, because if she doesn't have any other interest in the case, and we approach her and say, please, recuse yourself from this case. You have made statements that are unwarranted. It's not in your province to make these statements in a matter that is pending before you, a political case. Yeah, it's not in your province to make these statements. Yeah, in fact, your statements appear to be very prejudicial, putting UDP in bad light. And this party, I'm not saying that is the best party in this country, but I cannot tell you that it is this government. It is this government that will certainly bring in sanity in the administration of justice in this country. But when the judges were dismissed, when some judges were dismissed, I think, including herself, it was UDP that took the matter to court to say that the way government acted was wrong, was improper. So we are here to uphold the rule of law and to criticize us being undemocratic, that our rules are restrictive. We are this, we are that. I think it's unbecoming of a judge to do so. So I'm not saying that our case has merit, but we are saying that this judge certainly should not preside over our case. And when the court resumes, we are going to approach her to make to recuse herself. And I hope that if she hears this interview, she hears this statement, I hope she, on her own volition, will return the file to the Chief Justice and say, look, I have 5 remarks made in response to what I had said when I presided over this matter, and because of that, I am returning this file. Yes, I hope she does so on her own volition.
And talking about accusation, while we are at it, I'm tempted to ask, many tend to accuse the UDP of being a Mandinka party. Can you please address that?
Well, Jamie, you see, I have been asked this question a lot of time.
I know.
But you see, those people, to whom we are an obstacle, we are an obstacle to their political advancement. They are the ones who accuse of us of being a Mandinka party. All those really who believe that UDP was on the right track never accuse UDP of being a Mandinka party. And UDP is certainly not a Mandinka party. If it were a Mandinka party, in Jammeh's time, would have got the IEC to deregister it. Because the law provides that you cannot have a political party registered on the lines of ethnicity and so forth. So, but again, if UDP were to be led by Manjago, these people will still say that this is a Manjago party. Yes, they also say Manjago party. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for shedding light on that. I know you've been asked this question several times, but since it's my first chance to have you on my show or the interview, I'm just tempted to ask. With the speculations of prospective coalition forming, will the UDP merge with any other party in order to get the 50% majority vote in 2021?
Well, even I said, what UDP has tasked itself is to really pull more than 50% of the votes. That's our task. That is what we have tasked ourselves. And that is what we are working on. Working on or going to election with the hope of having a coalition partner. For me, is when you are not taking the issue seriously. Because if you are attending to the matter very seriously, your target should be getting more than 50%. And from your government without a coalition. But if the need arises, certainly we'll form a coalition with any party that wishes to be in coalition with us. But then if parties start thinking that this is a Mandinka party and they don't want to have coalition with us, we cannot do anything about that.
True. Agreed.
We cannot do anything about that. But our target is 50 plus. And certainly that's a target that we are working on, and we hope that we'll be able to realize and actualize what we are aspiring to. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure whether before the first round of voting, whether you'll have coalitions. I'm not sure whether that is on the in the thinking of any of the parties. I think the serious parties think that they should all go in for the fourth round of voting and see what happens. And if there's need then to forge alliances, then they would forge alliances. But I'm not sure whether serious parties are really thinking of forging alliances before the first ballot.
Got you. Will you be the flag bearer for the 2021 elections, presidential elections?
Well, the Constitution of the United Democratic Party provides that anyone aspiring for an elective office, you're right to the selection committee for you to be selected. And I have said it once, and I'm repeating again through your medium, that in 2021, I will send in my application to the selection committee of the United Democratic Party, presided over by the national president of the party, and ask the party to endorse me as their candidate, to select me and endorse me as their candidate. I certainly want to do so. And but if there's reason why I should not do so, I will not. If there's reason why I should not do so, I will not. And then, of course, whoever the party accepts as his candidate, we will all rally behind him. We'll all, him or her, and we will all, support the candidate of that person. With the same objective in mind, to score 50%, to pull more than 50% of the vote at the first ballot.
Thank you for that clarification. And many parties seems to die after their leaders are gone. Is the UDP structured to allow the continuity after you?
Inshallah, that is what I believe will happen. The leadership, UDP does not believe in leadership in personality cult. If the party was dependent on the leader, what happened to us in April 2016? the party would have fizzled away. Virtually, all the senior members of the National Executive were in prison. All of us were in prison. If it's a party that is organized around individuals, and those individuals are not there, then the party would have really fizzled away. If it doesn't fizzle away, it would have drastically been affected, and its performance would certainly have been, it would have been very poor. But my understanding is that when President Mabaro was selected by the party and they went around the country, everybody was convinced that UDP was going to win the elections. So that shows that it is not Ousainou Darboe, but we believe in the ideas and ideologies of the party. That is to say, it's a national party, and then it must outlive all its members. At any given time, it must outlive its leadership. I have always drummed into the ears of our supporters that the United Democratic Party must be held and seen to be different and distinct from Ousainou Darboe. I always advise them and I make them to accept this reality that, look, I could drop at any time and die, but the party must go on. I've always tried to convince them to accept the reality that, look, I could get sick and got bedridden, and the party must go on. And even told them that, look, something else could happen to me. You know, I could be jailed, and in fact, I was jailed. And the party must go on. And this is what is accepted by the members of the United Democratic Party. It's not Ousainou Darboe. And as I always say, if I get arrogant, infatuous, and think that, you know, yes, I'm lawyer Darboe, you know, or Dambela Mandela, and that gets into me, you know, and behave otherwise, you know, I'll become a non-entity in this country. There's absolutely no doubt about that. No, it is the people that made me. It is not me who have made the United. It is the people who have made the United Democratic Party what it is.
True.
Through their sacrifices, Sajo Kunjansani, the Kunda Kamaras, the Femi Peters, the Antasambas. You know, these are the people who have made the UDP. And then those of us who are there, we've seen the sacrifices of those people, and we continue that. And that is what is going to happen. UDP, inshallah, is going to be here for next several years, and is going to be the dominant political party. Yeah, I can tell you that. And as I told somebody, what I'm telling you can take that to the bank.
Mashallah. Coming back to our roots, where we come from, Dobo, Bansang, and many people tend to believe we have a traditional belief. Can you hear me?
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, I mean, people like you have seen yesterday and seen today. So coming back to our roots, I mean, where we originally come from, Bansang, Dobo, and that area, people tend to believe we have a traditional belief that says that people from Dobo cannot be Mansas. What is your reaction to that? What is your reaction at all?
Well, I believe that in this world of this modern age, one should really there will be superstitions. You know? I don't think there's any truth in that, and certainly there's an elected office that I'm looking for. You know, and your great grandpa Numukunda was elected. So he was looking for an elected office. You know, in fact, he's nearer to Dobo Kemo than me. You know, but let me tell you, this is all it's all nonsense. It's not. There's no iota of truth in it. After all, which family in the world would say that, you know, I don't want any of my descendants, you know, to lead
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere. I don't think any ancestor will do that. But it's not true. These are just how do you call it? Uh, Gauge your stock. What is the truth is that
Mm-hmm.
if anyone,
Mm-hmm.
be you president, be you minister,
Mm-hmm.
police officers particularly,
Mm-hmm.
servicemen, you go to Dobo with the intention of really, brutalizing the people,
Mm-hmm.
with the intention of, taking advantage over them because
Mm-hmm.
of the, rural people or educated rural people, and you think you can do anything to them because you have the authority to do so, you will never repeat it again. That is the truth. That is the truth. Otherwise, I know, because they say safe one, honey safe one kata adobo.
Mm-hmm.
I know of a particular CFO. For 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
he's been going to Dobo to attend the Ziara in Dobo. And uh, I remember on one occasion, he
Mm-hmm.
said, look, Dobo Nkonu, Alduanye, Nimbata Sefu Yala, funding finance Sefu.
Wow.
And of course, Kabrabata Sefu Yala, Yadu
Uh-huh.
Leta Yake Sefu. So, Nimenta Kwemo Tora la Dobo.
Uh-huh.
Mansalamo. Eko ebita be moto tora la Dobo.
Mm-hmm.
Ala si tora.
Tonya. Dua jabo
So
bije.
this
Mm-hmm.
ala si tora. This is what the people think kako Adobo mansol buka mansabukata Adobo Dobo kote kala mansate.
Mm-hmm.
Na mirade
Mm-hmm.
na di ata alaye
Mm-hmm.
2021
Mm-hmm.
Dobo kemo la bonsun na di ata alaye
Mm.
2021
Uh-huh.
Dobo kemo bonsun si palaso soto nyimbanko tang men tambita numukunda dabula palaso la. Yeah.
As we getting closer to the end of this interview, I know I've taken so much of your time. Let me ask you about the COVID-19. As we know, it has created a lot of difficulties in the country, the Gambia to be specific, in all aspects. What is the UDP doing to help combat this disease?
Well, the UDP as a party, what we do is advise people
Mm-hmm.
to really abide by the guidelines of the WHO and the Minister of Health.
Mm-hmm.
And the Minister of Health has really been doing a fantastic job. And I want to take this opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to pay tribute to the frontline workers.
Mm-hmm.
These are people who have sacrificed themselves, who have exposed themselves to risks that you and I are not willing or afraid to expose ourselves to.
Right.
And they are doing fantastic job in trying to contain the spread of this pandemic. And I salute their patriotism. I salute their sense of service to this country. Without them,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the situation would have been under control as it is now. I hope that the whole country will appreciate them. Some of them have lost their lives while helping to save our own lives. And to them and their families, we say a grateful nation owes a lot to them. So really, what we want to do, what we have been doing as a party, is to really encourage people to abide by the WHO guidelines. Now, the COVID-19 Buntung are established not on a partisan political basis. That is something individual, that's a personal initiative of mine to raise funds to buy food for the needy and vulnerable. And Alhamdulillah, this Wednesday, we distributed the last allocation of food to the needy people of the Gambia. And I'm grateful to the Gambian people who have really contributed to this initiative.
Is that the food distribution that we saw with KMC and BCC? Is that under the
Yes,
sponsorship of the?
yes, yes, KMC, BCC, and we have also distributed to all the area council. The last batch was to Banjul City Council.
Got you. Then, Mr. Darboe, coming back to this, as I said, we are almost at the end of the interview. How do you balance family life with politics? Because I know it can be very hectic sometimes.
It is. It's certainly hectic, and it's difficult. And sometimes one is not fair to the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes one is not fair to the family, and that is a great matter for me. It's a matter of great regret. You know, yeah, I tell you this. There was a day, you know, my granddaughter, she came from school, and there was this big clinic of people whom I have to attend to. Came from school and then stood by me and said, Papa Ousainou, I also want to have an appointment with you so that I can talk to you. You know, that really touched me. I said, look, what's happening here? My granddaughter is telling me that, look, you are not having time for us. You know, give me appointment so that you'll have time for me as the other people to whom you have given appointment. So can be difficult. But I really grateful to them. They understand the situation, my situation, and they accept it. And although I think maybe a great deal of the time I'm not fair to them, and I think I want to really find, maybe you can advise me, privately, how I can balance the two lives, the life of a politician and the life of a grandfather and a father.
Of course, no problem. What would you want potential politicians to learn from your experience, being experienced in the field? What would you like them to learn from you?
Well, one, you have to be patient. You have to be patient, accommodating, and avoid being condescending. And every person, has something to offer and has something to say. What to me is not important. The person offering it is very important to that person. And to me, when a man leaves Brikama to come and see me on anything, it is important to him. That is why he's leaving Brikama, paying the fares, and really coming to see me. So these are things that I would want. People, and really to bear in mind. Because after all, when you get into politics, you want to be of service to your nation and to your people. So you have to be very accommodating to those people.
Final question: how would Mr. Darboe like to be remembered? How would you like to be remembered?
Well, I like to be remembered as the person who goes to court, as the lawyer who goes to court, believing in the case that is presenting to the judge, and that no amount of fees would influence his decision to take a case. And I would also like to be remembered as the person who really exposed Jammeh's corruption, to this country, who exposed, Jammeh's tyranny, tyrannical disposition and the criminal activities into which he and his government were engaged in. I'd like to be remembered for that.
Any last words before we let you go?
Well, I must say that I'm grateful. I'm grateful to the Gambian people for entrusting me with responsibility of running the affairs of the United Democratic Party, and the confidence the people of the Gambia have in me, in choosing me as leader of the United Democratic Party. I'm grateful to those people, and I'm also grateful that these people remain steadfast, in their support for the UDP.
I want to sincerely thank you for taking your time and for granting this interview. It means a lot to me, and I'm honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Thanks a lot. Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. That was lawyer Ousainou Darboe, Honorable Ousainou Darboe, of course, of the UDP, United Democratic Party of the Gambia, having an interview there on the Talk to Ladies show. We was out there that were watching, commenting, the likes, and we've seen it all. And we want to say thank you so much for taking your time to spend it with us and keeping us company through this journey. And until I come your way again, it's your girl, Lady Ba, and this is your Talk to Ladies show. Take care and bye for now.
We often admire people's successes, but never take the time to explore their challenges. Talk to Lady brings out the inside stories of the peaks and valleys of our daily struggles. A weekly show that features people and stories from all walks of life.
I probably don't look like I chopped cotton or picked cotton, but I did. And now this is a $500,000 probably home, up to $500,000 home.
You'll hear success stories from rags to riches that will inspire you to aspire to be great. Be the first to know, only on LSTV 1.